feel like we need a different flow for the start of our videos.
Well, you can't tell somebody to be funny on command. What am I, a clown?
You can be a comedian.
What am I, a clown? I'm here for your amusement. I'm here to amuse you. Like, what's so funny about me? So I'm funny? What's so funny about me?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
What's so funny about me?
Where should I start? What's something you realized this week?
Ooh, something I realized this week.
Yeah, we had a really good week this week. We were in San Antonio for a conference.
Yeah.
Speaking engagement. What's something you realized?
Ooh, that's what a great question. Something I realized this week. I realized that just when you think the wind is going to be at your back, the wind shifts. I went for a 10-mile run on yesterday morning, right? And the first 4 miles were into the wind. And I mean, it was a good 20-minute headwind, up hills in San Antonio, the hill country of San Antonio. And the whole time I was like, all right, it's fine, just push through this. And I was going really fast. It was a speed workout, right? So fast for me, it was going like 7-minute miles, 7, 10. And I'm like, all right, just power through. And it was taking everything in me, like, to get these Clydesdale legs moving and like running into the wind. But I didn't care because I knew that I had to come back, which meant the wind was going to be at my back for the back half of the run, right? So I'll exert the energy now, but then I'll switch and the wind will be at my back. I kid you not. When I turned around, I was into the wind again.
The wind turned around.
I'm like, how is this even possible? The wind was in my face. You turn around, the wind should be at your back. Would that be correct? I was looking forward to the wind in my back. There was no wind in my back. And then the hills were still there. And then like, so just when you think everything's going to start going your way, winds turn. The winds of life change.
So how does this apply to sales?
Oh, I didn't know you asked me how it applies to sales.
No, I just did.
Okay. How does it apply to sales?
Well, because
what happens is we think we can get through on grit. We think we can get through on perseverance, and we're waiting for the winds to turn. But if you're counting on the winds to turn, but you don't have any control over the wind, then like you don't have control. If the wind in this case is the market, you don't have control of the market. So people are like, gosh, I can't wait till the market changes. I can't wait till interest rates change. I can't wait till buyers urging again. Man, I can't wait until Trump's out of office. I can't wait until Biden's out of office. I can't wait until like whatever it is that you're waiting for and wishing for, you're the answer. You're the answer. Don't worry about whether the winds are going to change. I was waiting and waiting for the winds to change, and they didn't change. They didn't get in my back. It just was always, I felt like the whole run was in my headwinds. And there'll be days when, guess what? The winds will always be at your back. So stop putting your wishing and your praying on the winds and use yourself. The wishing and praying is on yourself.
Yeah. I love this analogy because you use this in a panel discussion, and I thought it was really powerful. It was definitely a good way to look at a different perspective of like things that are going on right now, right? Like the tariffs are bringing a lot of stress or concern in increased prices and things like that. And so I love how you use that analogy. And the same goes for sales. You know,
I've never heard somebody, sorry to interrupt. I've never met somebody. I heard this the other day. It was so profound, so simple, but so profound. And the guy said, I have never met somebody in my entire life ever that got better by blaming the circumstance. And so if you're blaming the circumstance for your lack of success, I don't have land, the market this, the availability that, the price is this, the promotion that, the interest rates this, just because you have the right to blame them doesn't make it right. And it's not going to help you get better. And so when you can stop blaming the circumstance and start just looking inward and say, yeah, listen, I can't control that, but I'm going to figure out a way to be successful. I'm not going to lose. And you have to have an irrational self-belief. That a rational person would say that is irrational. As much as you believing in yourself, that's irrational. So if a rational person has a level 5 self-belief, you need to have a level 15 self-belief. And everybody that has a level 5 self-belief is going to look at you and say that person has an irrational self-belief. Not an ego. Ego is I'm better than somebody else. but an irrational self-belief that I am not going to lose. You can try to outwork me. You can try to knock me down with the circumstances. It doesn't matter. I'm coming back. I'm winning. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to grasp. I have that. I have an irrational self-belief. I have an irrational self-belief.
But I think that's what makes you. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, in different scenarios. Like, I think that's what makes you so strong in that you've overcome a lot of these self-sabotage thoughts, and you have this power of changing your narrative, right? Like, keep telling yourself. I think that's what makes you so powerful, in your mindset. You know, growth does not come without being uncomfortable. And that's something we were talking about. We had this conversation about somebody we know, and there's a team that's struggling with understanding that with growth comes uncomfortable, with challenges, with digging into overcoming the losses. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
What about
you? I said it yesterday. I said you can have easy or you can have successful, but you damn sure can't have both.
Right.
And so, and it's not this this. So an irrational self-belief that I'm going to win does not mean that you don't have self-doubt. It doesn't mean that the critic just goes, oh, this guy has an irrational self-belief, so I'm just going to stay quiet. Every day I got to battle that critic. Every day that critic is like, all right, I'll take a whack at your self-beliefs now. I'm going to throw a headwind on you. I'm going to have this client step out. I'm going to have your competitors come after you. I'm going to have, and the more you reach for, the more you strive and try to achieve success, the greater success, the more people that are coming for you, the more circumstances that are coming for you. Nobody comes from the people that are hiding in the shadows. Nobody comes from people that have small egos. Small egos don't build big companies. And so the idea is I think you have to have this idea of just, I'm going to battle this thing every day. And there's not a day that goes by, I can tell you, that the critic doesn't try to get me not to run. Or the critic, when I pull up to this office building, that the critic's like, I know you better perform today. You better perform today. And they battle it, and I come back, and I'm like, yeah, I'm winning. I'm going to win.
So let's talk about that. What about the salespeople who are battling it, right? Like, we're not going to react to the circumstance at hand. We're going to overcome it. But what if they're in the ditch? Like, how do we motivate? How do we stay persistent to get out of it? Like, what's something you do, or what can they do to overcome staying in the ditch, become successful, understand that growth is uncomfortable?
Yeah.
What do they do to come out of it?
Yeah, for me, this is a really important thing, and I think most people look for outside motivation when they're in the ditch. They're looking for somebody or something to be the tow truck to get them out. I'm stuck in the ditch, so I need my spouse to get me out. I need my coach to get me out. I need my sales manager to get me out. And having great people around you that help challenge you, I think, is really good. But the only thing that's going to get you out of the ditch is that narrative you're telling yourself. And for me, when I'm in the ditch, I just question it. I question how of it. And then the second part is you just have to take action. See, most people think that that motivation creates action. When I'm motivated, then I'll go run. When I'm motivated, I'll go work out. When I'm motivated, I'll make that phone call. When I'm motivated, but that's the exact opposite. Motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. And I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday, and they said, I don't feel motivated to go run. I don't feel motivated to get on the treadmill. I don't feel motivated to exercise. And I was like, because you're waiting for this thing to happen that goes, okay, now I'm ready to go exercise. Well, that's not how it happens. Your body, your actions, your body will create motivation, because what happens is you create that pride. You're like, all right, I know I did something today. I know I did something today to get better. I know I did something today to put myself in position to win. So when you get on that treadmill first thing in the morning, when you don't want to, when you beat the critic and God, I have to take action, so I get motivated. I get on the treadmill and I start to run, or I start to walk. I make that phone call. I ask the buyer for the sale. I do the realtor presentation, whatever it is. Then you're like, all right, now I'm starting to manufacture momentum. And you've manufactured momentum. The motivation kicks up. That now you're in a state of flow, and that's what we want. But most people are just waiting for this thing to happen, and this thing isn't going to happen unless you make it happen. And so for me, have a bias towards action. And people that win, people that have continuous success, repetitive excellence, you know what they do? They just take action before anybody else. I used this analogy yesterday. Ryan Serhant told me at dinner, he said, Chad, I'm going to beat everybody. I'm going to beat everybody. You know how I'm going to beat everybody? I consider it like a NASCAR race. He said most people keep pit stopping. Every 2 laps they got a pit stop, and he said I'm going to build a car then I don't ever have to pit stop, because if I just stay out on the track longer than everybody else, I'm going to win. And so for me, I'm going to stay on the track longer than everybody else. That's why I work out so much. That's why I run so much, because I need to make sure that motivation doesn't die. And trust me, for me, if I go a week, 2 weeks without running, I get into a really big ditch. Well, why? Because I'm no longer taking massive action. And so you got to find something that just says, I'm going to take massive action. You'll beat most people if you just have self-belief, irrational self-belief, and a bias towards action.